I quit my hotel job after I saw this. So for a bit of background, when I was looking for a long-term job after graduating college, I kind of just went from job to job. Not because I was a bad employee or I got fired, I just couldn't decide. I'm a very indecisive person, and if you're also indecisive, you understand how annoying it gets. I worked at a makeup store for a bit, a smoothie place, a craft store, a movie theater, even a pet store for a while, until I got a job at a hotel. And let me tell you, I'll never go back. Luckily, I don't have to, since I've finally landed my dream job as a marine biologist by the water. And although it's nice, I'm still attempting to recover from that terrifying night at the hotel. I was only 22 at the time, but what I saw will stick with me forever. The background information/introduction was a bit long. I apologize if I've bored you already. I promise the story is worth staying for. You hear a lot of these late-night hotel worker stories, typically in a rough part of town, not a popular tourist area, and it was just like that. Now don't get me wrong, it wasn't a terrible part of town, just a little rough around the edges, right off the highway. It was mostly for business trips, mid-trip breaks, family visiting a relative, just a cheap place to stay to get by. You get the idea. I worked pretty often, my shifts were usually long, but it wasn't too hard of a job, just the front desk. I didn't do the cleaning stuff. I was one of the friendliest workers there, so I was a go-to employee to get called in. I'll be honest, I didn't like working at night much, but someone's got to do it, I guess. And that someone was usually me. My co-workers didn't talk much. Some of them even creeped me out, especially at night. And since they didn't talk, the shifts went by much slower than they really were. The awkward silence was terrifying. You could even hear a pin drop, like teachers say. On this night in particular, I was working with a guy that always gave me bad vibes. We'll call him Tyler. Tyler was scrawny and pale. I think he was on drugs at the time. He was kind of jittery and he didn't look so good. And he never talked. But Tyler isn't even the scary factor of this story. I would take a shift with Tyler over what I saw that night any day. I was sitting at the desk, sipping on my iced coffee to stay awake. It was after midnight after all. Tyler was just sitting there. I noticed him look over at me a few times, but he never talked. I can usually make conversation with anyone, but Tyler was just straight weird. And I had absolutely no clue what to even say to him. What was I going to do? Tell him where the best drug dealers hang around? Maybe I'm too harsh on Tyler. Maybe he really was just an innocent guy that looked like he did drugs. But he still gave me bad vibes, and for some reason I felt unsafe and on edge around him. No one else was working with us that night. I was on my own. That's when the phone rang. I picked it up, wondering who was calling at this time of night. I was already a bit uneasy because of Tyler, so the phone ringing startled me. I even jumped a little. I think Tyler saw me jump, but I'm not too worried about it. He has no room to judge, and anyway, I haven't seen him since that night. I hope he's doing good now. Front desk, this is Cassidy speaking. I said into the phone, still a bit shaken up. Hi, this is Carol. I checked in earlier today. I'm staying on the 3rd floor, and there's an unusual scent. It seems to be coming from the closet, the woman said. She sounded like the sweetest old lady. She handled it so well. I would be scared shitless if I was staying alone, let alone if something like that happened. I'm a true crime, murder mysteries, you name it, addict. I know how these stories go. Oh, okay. My co-worker and I will be right up to check it out. I said, my voice shaking. I knew Tyler would hate me for this, but there was no way in hell I was going up there on my own. Hey, Tyler, get your ass up, we gotta go up to the 3rd floor. I said, shocked at how I was speaking to him with such confidence and disrespect, as if I'd known him for years. I guess my fight or flight kicked in at the moment, and it just kinda happened. What's going on? Tyler said, jerking up a bit. He looked like he was starting to fall asleep, and I startled him slightly. Maybe it was just that he was tired, but he looked high. I'll explain on the way, I said. Now come on. We got in the elevator and stood in silence. We got out and started making our way down the hallway. Carol's room was the very last room in the hallway. I know I work, Ed, in a hotel, but ever since I was a kid, hotel hallways at night scared the hell out of me. I always thought when I turned the corner, something or someone would be standing there waiting for me. I still feel that way, and I don't think it will ever change, especially after that night. Something about it is just so eerie. I can't believe you dragged me along for this. And you still never told me what it was for. Now who's going to work at the front desk? Tyler said, clearly annoyed and upset with me. Oh please, I saw you nodding off. And who's going to check in at this time of night? I said with a sass I didn't even know I had. You never know, there's some weirdos out there, especially in this part of town, Tyler said. Yeah, like you, I said, crossing my arms. Oh, shut up, will you? Tyler said, sounding completely done. Just admit that you can't be a big girl and do your own damn job, Tyler said. I was so done with his shit. Says you. You're probably high right now. Why should I care what a crackhead like you thinks of me? I said, knowing I went too far. We're here, I said quietly, looking down. We went into the room to find Carol on one of the beds in a blush pink nightgown, looking like a nervous wreck. She slowly raised her index finger, pointing to the closet. It's coming from in there, Carol said, her voice shaky. I braced myself and slowly opened the closet, and what I saw will haunt me forever. It was a decapitated human head. It looked like a young woman. Despite being covered and dripping in blood, she was beautiful. It's a shame what happened to her. She looked like she had so much to live for. I didn't know her, but she looked so kind. I felt myself start to get emotional, but before the tears could escape my eyes, I felt the color drain from my face, and I started to fall back. The last thing I saw was Tyler grabbing the nearest trash can and puking. It looks like she's waking up, I heard Tyler say. I woke up in the room with a headache from hitting the ground so hard. I was surrounded by police and a few medics. She still looks kinda pale. I'll get her some water. Tyler said. Now that I think about it, maybe I was wrong about Tyler. Maybe he really was just a sweet, misunderstood guy. After being gone for a minute, Tyler came back. Here, drink this, you'll feel better, Tyler said, handing me the water bottle. Thanks, I said. And I'm sorry about what I said earlier. Don't worry about it. For the record, I'm not on drugs. But I can see how I look that way, Tyler said. We both laughed. Now that I think about it, Tyler and I could have made a pretty decent couple. Needless to say, I quit that night. I'm not sure if Tyler still works there or not. If he does, I would totally go visit him one day. But I'm not sure if I would dare to step foot in that building ever again. Besides, it's far away from where I live now, and that hotel is a dark part of my past that I don't like to look back on. It only lives on in my memory. I don't think I can ever check out of this hotel. Did you ever get one of those low, rumbling feelings in your gut telling you to turn around before things go to hell? That's how I felt in the parking lot of the Hidden Forest Manor Hotel. I really should have listened. But I was tired from long hours on the road over the past 3 days. It was dangerous to keep driving in that state. I needed a place to crash, and I'd already paid for this one. I'd found it that morning while I was sipping coffee at a highway rest stop. It was one of those themed hotels. That's not normally something I'd go for. Honestly, all I ever want from a hotel is a place to shower and crash for the night. This place had been the cheapest place on my route that didn't have reviews that mentioned bedbugs, though, so I'd figured I could handle it for a single night. In fact, all the reviews had been glowing and many had mentioned an amazing morning breakfast. So I'd shoved the last bit of a Pop-Tart in my mouth and hit the book button ***. The place was creepy. I know that was the point, and I told myself I was being ridiculous, but it spooked me right from the start. The lobby was dark and several people in shabby costumes were milling around in it. Room 205, aren't you lucky? The smiling woman at the front desk said, passing me my key cards. Lucky? I inquired. It's one of my favorites, the woman said. Enjoy your stay, dear. I thanked her and walked off to find my room. The elevator looked a bit suspect, like it might break and send me crashing to my death. So I took the spiral staircase instead. I found 205 down a narrow hallway that was just as dimly lit as the lobby. I opened the door to find a very pretty room waiting. It had a large bed, an old oak desk, green curtains, and a few lamps scattered about. I tossed my duffel on the desk chair and headed into the bathroom, needing it after my long drive. The bathroom was tiny, hardly big enough for the tub, sink, and toilet. There was no window, and the overhead light above didn't give off much light either. I checked out the toiletries while I was washing my hands and wrinkled my nose at the Unothra label on them all. I was glad I had soaps and lotions of my own with me. I had a friend who lost her eyebrows to that stuff a couple back. I splashed some water on my face, trying to wake myself up. I still had that zombie feeling linger after being in the car for so long. When are you leaving? A woman's voice asked. It startled me enough that I jumped and slammed my hip into the sink. I turned to find a girl staring at me from the bathroom doorway. She looked young, like a college-aged kid, so I thought she might have been part of the hotel's staff at first. I hadn't heard her come in, but I was feeling pretty out of it, so I shook it off. Sorry, do you work here? I asked. The girl adjusted her large glasses and smiled at me before answering. I live here, she said. She had an airy, lilting sort of voice with a touch of an accent I couldn't place. This is my room. I was wondering when you'd be leaving? You've been here such a long time already. I just checked in, I said, frowning. I wasn't sure what to make of that. I guess that maybe this was part of the theming. It's so hard when people stay so long, the girl said, as if she hadn't even heard me. I get terribly restless. I'll be leaving in the morning, I said. Oh, well, good. Thank you for letting me know, the girl said. She smiled at me again and nodded like my answer had satisfied her. Then she vanished. I don't mean she ran out of the room. I mean she just stopped being the bathroom doorway. She nodded and then was gone. I gripped my hand onto the edge of the sink and took a long breath. I figured there were 3 options on the table here. 1. This place was way higher budget than it looked, and those were some amazing special effects. 2. I was having some sort of too many nights on the road-induced nervous breakdown. 3. There was an actual ghost in my hotel room. All things considered, I decided that option 1 was most likely. Still, I couldn't totally rule out option 2, so I decided a nap might be my best bet. Have you ever not realized how tired you were until your body hits the bed? You think you're doing okay, but then you lay down, and every muscle in your body throbs? Your head hits the pillow and your eyes are so heavy it's nearly painful? Yeah, this was that kind of nap. The bed wasn't very comfortable, but I've slept on worse. I was out cold before I really had much time to think about it. I woke up about an hour later to find the girl staring at me from the end of the bed. You're still here, she said, tilting her head at me so sharply that it couldn't have been comfortable for her. It's not morning, is it? I asked, fumbling under a pillow for my phone. It's been a very long time, the girl said. I shook my head. The time on my phone confirmed it had only been an hour. Do you? I paused, sitting up and trying to figure this out. It could all be part of the hotel's theme, an act or something. A very, very weird act. Do you want me to call the front desk? Try to get a different room. Oh no, the girl said, eyes going wide. She put a hand over her mouth like she was shocked. You can't call the desk. They might put you in one of the bad rooms. There are bad rooms? I asked. Oh yes, very bad rooms. My room is the best, I think. You think it's lovely too, don't you? She asked. It's great, I agreed. I still wasn't sure whether I was talking to a ghost, my own hallucination, or an actress, but I decided it couldn't hurt to be agreeable about it, no matter what. I'm not sure if that was my ingrained Southern politeness, a survival instinct, or both. Have you lived here long? Since it was built, the girl said. You're very nice, you know. Thanks, I said. We could share my room if you want. You can stay as long as you like, she said. She leaned in close to me when she did, leaning across the bed to smile at me with wide eyes. I hadn't noticed it before, but there was something not quite right about her. I don't just mean the disappearing and the odd conversation. I mean, she didn't look all the way right. You know when something breaks and you're able to superglue it back together? You can still use it, and it's not broken anymore, but it never looks the same again? Even if you do it carefully and repaint over the cracks, it's not fully fixed. The edges don't line up like they should. You always know it was broken. That's what she reminded me of up close. I couldn't see any cracks in her, but I knew they must be there. It made a chill run down my spine. I forced a smile anyway. I felt certain I shouldn't make her angry, even if she was an actress, or the product of mental breakdown. Sure, I said. We can share until I leave in the morning. Yay, she said, clapping her hands excitedly. Then she disappeared again. I blinked into the now empty room, feeling more than a little unsettled. I swiped my phone open and pulled up some travel apps, looking for any available rooms at nearby hotels. No luck. Every other hotel in the entire Tri-County area was totally booked. The closest room I could find was an hour-and-a-half drive away and priced at over $300 a night. There was no way I could afford that, especially since if I left I'd have to swallow the non-refundable cost of this room. I needed a new plan. I got up and rifled through the desk, looking for hotel information. I thought maybe there might be an explanation somewhere. Something like one of those welcome cards hotels have about housekeeping and room service, but that explained how rooms in this hotel had strange ghost actress girls. I didn't have any luck finding anything with information about the girl. I did, however, find out there was a hotel bar on the 6th floor. I decided I could definitely use a drink. Several drinks, If I was going to need to sleep in a room where a ghost or actress, or maybe a projection of my own brain kept popping up. Plus, I figured I could talk to the other hotel guests at the bar. It seemed like a good way to figure out if anything weird was happening to anyone else. So, I ran a brush through my hair and swapped my hoodie for a sweater. I was at the door when she appeared again. "Hi, you look nice. Where are you going?" she said, popping up between me and the door. "I was just gonna grab a drink at the bar," I said. She frowned. "Oh, I don't think you should go out there," she said, shaking her head. "I'll be right back," I said. She shook her head again. No, that would be a bad idea," she said. She looked very troubled about the thought of me leaving. "Why would it be a bad idea?" I asked. I had a sinking feeling in my stomach. I wouldn't be getting that drink after all. "It's too close to the show and showtime isn't safe," she said. As if in cue, 3 long chimes rang out. It seemed like the whole building vibrated with them. "What show?" I asked. "The nightly show," she said, looking at me with wide eyes. I bit my lip. I'd skimmed over a mention of a nightly show on the website, but I'd assumed it was a people in costume serve appetizers thing and not given it much thought. That might have been a mistake. A scream rang out in the hallway. Then another, and then more, enough that I couldn't count them individually anymore. "What's happening?" I asked. "The show," the girl said, shaking her head sadly. But I started. I was suddenly feeling sure that all those glowing reviews had been fakes. "You need to hide before they come," she said. I felt myself being shoved toward the bathroom. She wasn't touching me, but I was being moved along all the same. "In the bathroom. Even I can't go in there." "Wait, what?" I attempted as I stumbled into the bathroom. I was cut off by the frantic waving of the girl's hands. I could still hear the screaming. "Shuh," she said. "I'll handle it." There was a knock on my door then. "Miss, are you ready for dinner?" A booming voice asks. It sounded oddly friendly, considering the screaming behind it. The girl put her finger over her lips and shook her head at me before heading over the door. I couldn't see the conversation that happened at the door, but I could hear it. "She's not here, Barry," the girl said. "Damn it, Annie again? You know, management doesn't like that." The voice at the door, Barry, I guess, said. "Sometimes I can't help it," she said, giggling a little. "They're gonna take your room if you keep killing people before showtime," Barry said. From my spot in the bathroom, I felt my stomach lurch. The screaming in the hallway was mixed with whimpering now. What the fuck was happening? "You let me worry about that," she said, still giggling. "Now shoo. Off to work." I had the door shut. I wondered if I should grab some sort of weapon, but I was pretty sure shampoo didn't help fight, whatever all this was. Then I remembered that she'd said, "Even I can't go in there," about the bathroom. So I hung back against the sink, hoping that was true. "Hi again. That was close," she said, popping up in the doorway. She stopped right in the door frame, as if she really couldn't cross it. "What's happening out there?" I asked. "I told you. It's the nightly show," she said. "Okay, but are they killing all the guests?" I asked, gripping the sink edge again. "No," she said with another giggle. "Not all of them. That would be ridiculous. Just 2 or 3. But everyone else has to watch, and it's gross. They probably wouldn't have picked you, but you're still better off in here." "Right," I said. "So, I heard the guy at the door call you Annie. May I call you Annie?" "Of course. We're friends now," she said, looking pleased. "Is it true what he said? Have you killed people? Are you going to kill me?" I asked. I braced myself against the sink so hard it was painful. It was oddly comforting. "We're friends now," Annie repeated, shaking her head at me as if I'd hurt her feelings. Then she added, "Not all the time. Some people are just so mean to me. They throw things at me and call me terrible, horrible things even though this is my room. Not everyone is nice like you." I let out a long breath. So being polite had been a good instinct, after all. My grandma would be so proud of me. "That does sound rude," I said. "It really is. Sometimes I just lose my temper when that happens," Annie said. She giggled again. I fought back the urge to throw up. "Okay, but Annie, you told them I was dead. How am I going to check out in the morning?" I asked. "Oh, don't worry, I can sneak you out," Annie said. Then she smiled. "But you don't have to leave right away. You could just stay. Now that we're friends, I'll share my room with you. It would be like a sleepover. I could even braid your hair." "That's so nice of you, but won't they want to put other guests in this room?" I said, trying hard to sound cheerful about the idea. I got the feeling Annie didn't really know the difference between mean to her and scared as hell, and I didn't want to risk it. I could hide you. I'm very good at hiding, Annie said. I'm sure you are, I said. Out in the hall, the sound of screams had mostly faded. Just a loud whimper or shout occasionally. I took a breath, trying to figure out what to do next. I was sure I wasn't getting out of this room on my own. I needed to get the police here, and I needed to stay in the bathroom until they arrived. Can you give me a few minutes? I'm going to take a shower and call my sister, I said. Annie giggled again. Of course, but you can't make any calls, silly, she said. What do you mean? I asked, swallowing hard. You can't call outside from inside the hotel. It's not possible, Annie said. You can take a shower, though. Or a bubble bath. We have the best bubble bath soap. I love the smell. That's probably a good idea, I said. Annie waved, then disappeared again. I tried to call the police as soon as she left. It turned out she was right. My phone wouldn't dial out. I couldn't send texts either. Twitter and Instagram kept giving me error messages, too. I went ahead and made a bath. I'm not touching that Enothra bubble bath, but I did want the excuse to be in here for a while. I'm sitting in the bathtub now, typing this all out. Maybe someone will see it. Maybe it can at least be a warning. I don't know how much longer I have until she'll come back. I have no idea how I'm going to get out of here. Making a run for it obviously isn't an option. What's in the hall sounds worse than trying to keep Annie calm. I know she can't step into the bathroom, but I don't know what she can do from outside it if I try to just hide in here. The hotel murderer. Short but creepy true story that happened to my best friend's mother, Lori. First post, and I'm sick so the writing won't be top-notch. During the 1980s, Lori was on a business trip out of state and was staying at a hotel with her coworkers. They were all having a few drinks at the hotel bar before going to sleep. During this time, they were telling each other what room numbers they were sleeping in. Lori noticed a strange-looking man listening in on their conversation when she was telling her coworkers what room she was staying in. He looked oddly familiar to her, but she couldn't figure out why. Being the cautious person she is, Lori decided to change room numbers, leaving her room open for another guest. During the night, the man broke into the room she had switched out of and killed the woman sleeping there. The man had been a wanted murderer. She had seen him in the newspaper,